Well, guys, sad to say, we're getting some cold weather this weekend. 2 cold blasts in 1 year. This is the first time I've experienced it. The forecasts have been changing. We're looking at a couple nights around 20, could be a little bit less, could be a little bit more. Not really sure. Daytime highs above freezing, so that's a good thing, but what's going to happen is we're going to have rain, 2 days of rain, and then it's going to freeze. And that is really bad for palms when they're wet and then they freeze. See the big butia here I've wrapped. And then what happens is once the freeze, we're going to get the high winds with very cold weather. And it did cause a lot of damage last time on many of my plants, many of my non-palms. And after that, we're going to be going back to rain again, if you can believe it. It's about as bad a situation or as you can get to go from wet to freezing cold to wet. And after our last cold event where we were down to 19, we had 2 days, I think, where we didn't go above freezing, and it rained for 3 weeks straight. And you can see, let's say these are older fronds, but I'm seeing a lot of spotting. I've seen some plants that I think are just downright dead. So getting a second blast like this is really bad. So those plants that have been weakened, it's gonna knock them off. So got out the Christmas lights real quick, just wrapped up the slightly more tender things, some of the citrus, some of the newer plants I put in this year. And basically there's 100 string of mini lights under there with either frost bags or frost cloth. This is my Camerops that had I transplanted last year. No heating under that. Some of these have heating, some of them don't. But I just really wanted to be safe this year. 2 bad snaps in a row. It's the first time I've experienced that. And the funny thing is north of us, they're not getting it. And south of us, they're not getting it. So it seems to be really limited to my area, Portland, Salem, a little bit in the valley. So what I like to do for the bigger palms, I mean, the butias, I've had them in, they can take some pretty cold weather, but I like to wrap around the new spear just because I don't want that rain to freeze inside and expand and cause damage. So I've gone around and protected what I thought kind of needs. Look at this agave. Actually, I can't remember if I put a cover on that one or not, but it is toast. We got another couple like that. So bad year. Here I am in the backyard. I didn't really protect much back here. I don't have to. Mule palm. So the mule palm here has been showing a lot of spotting and damage to the older fronds. So that's in there wrapped with lights. And I got a couple little more sensitive palms up on the hill. And then look at this. This is my Washingtonia robusta. It's a little structure that I built for it. All I do is just wrap a tarp around it, and there's some light strings in there. I don't really know how much heat they give off in a big container like this. Let's see, I don't know if you can see in there, but he's in there. If I stand back here, that'll give you a better shot. So that's what I've been doing. I have the rain shelter over it, but with these 2 really quite cold snaps we've had, I mean, the tarp, you can see it has holes in it, but that seems to be enough just to at least cut the wind, because the wind hits that side and it's going to be blowing really bad. I think that's why we're getting the cold and other areas are not. Red cordylines, they're in pots. I just picked them up and pulled them inside, -5 Celsius, like 25 degrees Fahrenheit. That's when you may experience problems with these. The colored cordylines in the neighborhood from our cold blast in December are all dead. They all just turned to mush. So these guys would not survive. So we'll see. I posted at the beginning of the video. I'm gonna throw a few up there, and you can see what type of weather I'm expecting. And like I mentioned earlier, it's the wet. We're not a place like Texas where it's hot and sunny, they get wicked cold, but it's dry cold, and then it warms right back up and the palms have a chance to recover. We get these cold snaps and it stays damp and wet, and that's when the fungus and the disease sets in. So we really have to wait until, you know, May or June. It depends on the year. It could be April, but we're still a couple months away from when the good weather's going to return, where things are going to get dried out. So I have to be a little more careful about taking damage in my sort of climate. Things like Trachycarpus, you don't worry about them. They've been here for decades. You know, there's palms that are older than me that have never been touched. So the needle palms do really well for me. A lot of the sables are doing really well. The Butias actually do really well. I am just kind of quickly wrapping the spears on them. I just want to prevent any freezing moisture from getting in. And yeah, I mean, aside from that, things are okay. But look at like the damage to the Fatsias. I mean, these things usually take damage, but my Schefflera took damage. Loquat has a lot of spotting. And look, that cordyline, pardon me, that Phormium, more than half of it is collapsed. This one's looking a lot better. I don't really know why. The tree fern is browning off a bit from the December cold weather. And look at my Metapanics. It's black. So this won't be as bad a cold spell as the other one. I don't think it's not going to be as long, and we're going to get those nice daytime highs bouncing back well above freezing. But look at this, what a mess. So I've been contemplating pulling this out, and I may just do that. All right, stay tuned. We'll see how it goes. Still warm out here right now. I mean, we're going to go from 50 to overnight lows of 20, and then within a couple days we'll be back up into the 50s again.